Hello guys and welcome back to Planet 40k Tyranids. We've got another unit review for you today. This time we're going to be looking at one of the newer models from the 10th edition Tyranids, and it's none other than the Norn Emissary. It's one of the big bads, the big monster that we've got for this edition. So of course we're going to do the usual, go through the data card, we're going to go through the Planet 40k rating, pros and cons, all that kind of stuff. Just make sure you are subscribed. In fact, we did a list recently, in fact it might have been the last video we did, and the Norn Emissary was a part of that list. So if you've missed that, go back and check that list build out as well. It's for a Vanguard Onslaught detachment. But yeah, let's crack into the Norn Emissary. So, the statistics to begin, we've got movement of 10 inches, we've got toughness 11, 2+ arm with a 4+ invulnerable save, wound 16, 7+ leadership, and objective control is 5. So quite a resilient unit realistically for the stats. It's pretty quick. Monster speed there, and yeah, pretty tanky. The invuln does definitely help it, and 16 wounds is lovely. Now this is going to cost you 290 points to gain all these statistics, and of course it's going to come with a load of abilities, which we're going to go over in a moment. But before we do go over the abilities, we've got to talk about the core abilities as well as the keywords. So core abilities, we've got Deadly Demise is D6, so it's not D3, it's quite a large explosion if he does go bang. He's got Shadow in the Warp as well as Synapse, which is nice. So anything within 6 inches gets to use 3 dice for their Battle Shock, and Shadow in the Warp is a once per battle you can force Battle Shock on all enemy units, which is cool. Once he's below 5 wounds, he's going to be at -1 to his hit roll. It's hit roll, so depending on what weapon you're using, it'll be a -1 there. And the keywords we've got at the bottom there, we've got Monster, Psyker, Great Devourer, Synapse, and Norn Emissary. So mainly out those keywords, you've got Monster and Synapse are the ones to look at there. Right, let's move into the actual unique abilities. So we've got a really cool one. I very much like this ability, Singular Purpose. And you select this at the start of your first battle round, or start the first battle round, and you select one of the 2 options. Option 1, you select one enemy unit, and effectively you get to reroll all your hit rolls and all your wound rolls when using the Norn Emissary against that particular enemy unit. So you can literally go chasing down a particular unit. Now, of course, as soon as you declare what unit it is, your opponent is going to try to counter-deploy to get as far away as possible from your Norn Emissary. Now, of course, you're moving 10 inches, so you can get to it, but you can kind of use this as a bit of a strategy to make your opponent play less offensively with a certain unit. So you could use it to that aspect, but the second bullet point here is the one that I prefer. So you select an objective marker before the first battle round, and then for the entire battle your Norn Emissary gets a 5+ Fear and Pain save and objective control 15 on that particular objective. So that could be the No Man's Land objective, maybe it's the centre of the battlefield. You pick it pre-game effectively, moving forward 10 inches, get onto that objective, just sit there, OC 15, a 5+ Fear and Pain save to go alongside your 2+ armor with the 4+ invuln, toughness 11, 16 wounds. Yeah, it's such a resilient ability, if you like. That's what I would prefer to do. Now, you can also do this in your own deployment zone. You can just select that objective. It kind of depends who you're going up against. If you're going up against a very offensive faction that likes to come get into your backlines rapidly, then maybe you want to protect your own stronghold. But if you want to progress into the No Man's Land, then yeah, I would probably select something a little bit more central to the actual battlefield. He's then got a second unique ability, which is Unnatural Resilience, and he gets a 4+ Fear and Pain save against mortal wounds. Now this used to be good before the Balanced Data Slate update, because dead wounds went into mortal wounds. Now they're not mortal wounds, they just kind of ignore our save. So it's not necessarily good for the Norn Emissary, but any mortal wounds from other places, you're going to get 4+ Fear and Pain save on them. So that's still a decent ability to have. I'm not complaining. Now, in fact, if you wanted to get a Feel No Pain save from other avenues of the game, or of the Codex, you've got... So I'm going to kind of break into one of the fleets for a moment. The Invasion High Fleet, which was the launch index High Fleet. With Rapid Regeneration, you can give a Tyranid unit a 6+ Feel No Pain save, and it can turn into a 5+ if they're within Synapse. He's got Synapse naturally, so for 1 CP you can actually have a 5+ Feel No Pain save in a specific phase, shooting phase or a fight phase, if you're using the Invasion High Fleet. That's just one of the 6 High Fleets, of course. We'll talk more about that later on. Now let's move into his output, damage output. We've got the range weapon of the Psychic Tendril. Now this is 3 different profiles, and you select one to fire with in every battle round. So the first one is a Neuroparasite, which is effectively like a mini sniper if you like. It's got precision, 18-inch range. You've only got 2 shots, you're hitting on 2s, strength 8 minus 2 AP and D3 damage. So you're very likely wounding on 3s if not 2s against the characters that are hidden within units. Minus 2 AP is all you really need, and they most likely have an infun save anyway. And damage D3, yes, it is unpredictable. Sometimes you roll a 1, sometimes you roll a 3. But you've only got 2 shots with it. It's not the best weapon, don't get me wrong, but it can add to the assistance, if you like, of assassination and just getting rid of characters. The second one is Neuroblast, which is of course a blast weapon if you didn't work that out already. You've got 2d6 shots, so 2d6 average is 7, then you've got blast, so maybe you've got 8 or 9 or 10 or 11, depending on how big the enemy unit is. Hit on 2s again, strength 6 minus 2 AP, 1 damage. Now, when you're using this kind of weapon, you're going up against toughness 3 infantry, maybe toughness 4. So the strength 6 will wound on 3s if not 2s, and AP 2 is all you really need there. 8 AP minus 2 will literally put them on a poor armor save or completely remove their save completely. Damage 1 would be nice if it was damage 2 or D3 again, but we can't have everything, so damage 1 is enough, and we've got plenty of shots, 18-inch range again as well. Now the better of the 3 profiles is probably the Neuro Lance, which is effectively like a melter. It's melter 2, again 18-inch range, so they're all 18-inch range. You do need to get fairly close with this. 2 shots again, hit on 2s. This time it's strength 12 minus 3 AP, and the damage is a flat D6. If you're within half range, you're going to get an extra 2 because of melter 2. It's pretty much a melter. All of them are psychic weapons, which, you know, against some units have like a feel no pain against psychic attacks and stuff like that, so you just got to bear that in mind. But you've got the flexibility each and every shooting phase to select one of these. If you've got a load of little annoyances like a screening unit perhaps, maybe it's my Canoptic Scarabs or my Necrons, you just go with a Neuroblast to just kind of get rid of them. And if you're going up against, I don't know, a Lehman Russ, you bring out your Neurolance. So you've kind of got the flexibility in game to select from either of these options. Now that's the range side of it. What about the melee side? We've got 2 weapons, but one is an extra attack. So the main weapon is the monstrous Silent Talons, kind of a standard for monsters in the Tyranids Index and Codex. We've got 6 attacks, hit on 2, strength 9, minus 2 AP, and 3 damage. 3 damage is obviously nice. Minus 2 is all you really need. Strength 9, it would be nice if our monsters had a bit more strength to them. Strength 10, strength 11. Because even with our Norn Emissary here, you can see the toughness is in fact 11. So even our big weapons, which I consider this a big weapon, strength 9, is still wounded on 5s. So it's lackluster against monsters and vehicles that are of that caliber. But light vehicles, heavy infantry, Terminators, it can do the job. I mean, we don't need strength 9 against Terminators, they're only toughness 5, but they can still do a job. Now you've got the extra attacks from the monstrous Rending Claws, which are 4 extra attacks, hitting on 2, strength 7 minus 2 AP and 2 damage. So more of an anti-medium sized infantry, anti-marine infantry. You're wounded on 3s, minus 2 puts them on a 5+ armor, and each one that goes through removes a model. That's what that's for. You can also suggest it's for Terminators as well, because Terminators nowadays are pretty much 4-wound models. I know I've mentioned them with the monstrous Silent Talons, but a lot of them take the Storm Shield, so they've actually got 4 wounds, not 3, which is really annoying for our 3 damage weapons, because we can't clear Terminators without putting 2 wounds through, and then you waste 2. So something like the monstrous Rending Claws with 2 damage is actually maybe better against those kind of models. So we then come on to some more synergy, because that's the datasheet covered, I believe. Some synergy. There's not much synergy. I mean, you've got all the obvious stuff. The Psychophage can give the Feel No Pain save, but really, you've already got the Feel No Pain save coming, haven't you? Whether it's from the ability, what was the ability called again? It was a singular purpose. You're probably getting it from there. Maybe there's a stratagem in your detachment that you're going to use, but if not, the Psychophage, I suppose. But really, the Venom Throats with their Foul Spores aura, they're going to give him the benefits of cover. Now, you're not going to gain stealth because you're a monster, but the benefits of cover is nice. It's nice. Any AP to your weapons are going to go down to 0 AP, or 1 AP, minus 1 to the AP. And we're already starting on a 2+ armor with a 4+ invuln, so yeah, that can be quite useful. Anything that's got a larger AP, then of course we're just going to be using our invuln anyway, but you can use venom tropes. I want to talk about detachments next, because there's not really that many units that can sync. Everything syncs. Synapse, of course, that syncs with everything. So he's kind of a synergy unit, but he isn't in a way as well. So I'd rather talk about the detachment option. So the first one I want to talk about is Crusade Stampede. Crusade Stampede, with their main detachment roll, engage behemoths, get a +1 to the hit roll, and if they blow half strength, a +1 to the wound roll. That can be nice. If you've got a -1 to the hit roll, then that will counteract that. But to be honest, we're already hitting on 2s with our weapons, I believe. I'm just checking there. Yeah, we're hitting on 2s at range, we're hitting on 2s in melee. Don't really need a +1. I mean, a +1 to wound is nice, but you've got to get the unit below half strength. So there are also lots of stratagems that you can use there. It's virtually the Monster Mash detachment, so pretty much every stratagem will relate to the Norn Emissary. So have a look at that one and check out our video, in fact, of our detachment review. The Synaptic Nexus detachment is next. You don't need the 5+ invulnerable save really, so you won't take the augmentation. Surge in Vitality, +1 to advance and charge, maybe that's useful. And Goaded to Slaughter, add 1 to the hit roll in melee. You don't really need it, so really it's only the +1 to the advance and charge. But again, the stratagems that will relate. There are stratagems that will relate. So the Vanguard Onslaught, which is my preferred option, and as I said in the intro, he was in my list. You've got the ability to fall back and charge, so that you're going to regain your fight first bonus. Now unfortunately he's not a Vanguard Invader, so he won't be gaining the advance and charge ability, because it's only Vanguard Invader units that gain that. That isn't him, unfortunately. That would have been cool. The Invasion Fleet, which was our launch detachment. Yeah, you can use sustain hits maybe against infantry and swarm, or maybe hyper aggression for the lethal hits on monsters and vehicles. You've got the option. It's not actually a bad detachment, to be honest with you. Looking back at it now, compared to some of the others, I think it's an okay detachment. It's not groundbreaking. It's not top level or anything like that, but it's okay. The Assimilation Swarm, to be able to heal D3 if you're within close proximity, within 6 inches, in fact, of a Harvester unit. I don't like that detachment, if I'm honest with you, but this could be useful for him because he can be healing. Healing's always good. Unending Swarm, I wouldn't bother taking it unless you're just throwing him in the list. Really, it's all about the swarms. It's nothing to do with the Norn Emissary. So that's the synergy with the detachments. Obviously, the Crusher Stampede is probably the most optimal because everything kind of relates to monsters. But let's move into the battlefield role as well as the secondary mission scoring with the Norn Emissary. Battlefield role, objective sitter with OC15 potentially if you selected that one. OC5 is still good, it's still standard, but I would just sit him on an objective and let him soak up a lot of damage. He's pretty tough, pretty durable, and he's also going to deter your opponent from bringing units towards him. And if he's in the centre of the battlefield, your opponent isn't going to want to deal with him. There's a lot to deal with. There's a lot of their attacks at range and melee that are going to have to be focus fired onto him just to get rid of it. And that's if they do get rid of it. We obviously fight back and shoot back, and it probably doesn't turn out best for your opponent if they try and target him in that manner. I mean, of course, if you're playing against Tau, Astra Militarum, they can just shoot the crap out of him. Yeah, it's going to happen, right? But we've got other units then to charge in, and once you've got all your units into engagement range of their shooty faction, they're in trouble. So it kind of works both ways in our favour there. Secondary mission wise, there's quite a lot that he can do. It just depends on how you use him. Defend Stronghold if you want to sit him back. Extend battle lines if you want to extend into the No Man's Land. Secure No Man's Land, which is in fact the next one, if you want to sit him on the centre objective potentially, which also assists with area denial. Capture enemy outposts if you want to take him further afield, similar to attempt to target. Storm hostile objective. Overwhelming force, it's all about taking or removing models that are on objectives further afield. Bring it down he can do, he's got the melter option there. No prisoners he can do quite comfortably, and assassination he can also do. He's in fact got a precision weapon. He can also just fight into a standard unit with the leader in it. Now unfortunately he's not a character, so therefore he's not going to be able to use the epic challenge stratagem or anything like that. But you can get precision with other means. Let's get into the pros and cons to summarise our Norn Emissary. Starting with the pros: super tough, toughness 11, 2+ armour, 4+ invuln, 16 wounds. You can get the Feel No Pain on mortal wounds, which you will have in fact, 4+ Feel No Pain. OC 15 with the 5+ Feel No Pain on one objective, you can get that. He's got the flexible ranged weapon. Nice. If you weren't to select the OC 15 and 5+ Feel No Pain, you can instead just absolutely annihilate one particular model or unit. Maybe it's your opponent's Necron Warriors, I don't know. And then you just, everything's re-rolling hits, everything's re-rolling wounds. I mean, you're hitting on 2s anyway, so you don't really need the re-rolls to the hit rolls. But re-rolling wounds could be pretty big. He's good in melee, good at range. He's got Synapse. Works well in most of the detachments. I'd say most because there's just that unending swarm, which I don't think he needs to go in. You can use him there. I'm not saying he doesn't go well with it. He just doesn't synergize as well as other units would. But as for the cons, he's quite expensive. What was it? 290 points, was it? 290 points. It's quite a chunk of your pocket there. You've got competing with other monsters that are cheaper. I mean, in terms of melee, you've got the Horus Vex. In terms of range, you've got the Exocrine, Tyrannofex. This is kind of a merging of like an Exocrine and a Horus Vex in one. That's how it feels to me, but with Synapse and all the buffs and abilities. That's why I think he's worth the extra points. I mean, that sounded like a pro, really, didn't it? But yeah, you're competing with those kind of monsters. And he's not a character. Feels like he should be a character, but it's not a character, so no enhancements at all. So overall, I think it's a pretty decent one. To be honest with you, I haven't had enough experience with him. I've used it a few times. Used a friend's model because I don't actually own it yet. And it's done really well for me. So I need more playtime with it in order to give it a better rating. But for now, I'm going to go with the Planet 40k rating of 4.5 out of 5. I would like to say 5-star, but I need more time. But yeah, guys, what is it? What about you? What's your Planet 40k rating? And why? Are you just giving it a flat 5? Maybe it sucks for you. Maybe you only want to give it a 3 or even a 2. Let me know down in the comments below. But guys, make sure you are subscribing on your exits. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.